How goes it, ladies and gents? This is Enzo from Buoy Basket, and welcome to the Buoy Basket podcast. And today we have a very special guest. We have Chris Newsome. How goes it, Chris?
What's up, Enzo? Thank you for having me. I'm doing okay. There's a lot going on right now, so we're just trying to stay positive and keep everybody in a light spirit despite everything going on.
Again, thank you for joining us. I know that what we're going to be talking about today is a very sensitive topic. It isn't discussed much here in the Philippines, and it'd be great to educate a few people about it. You know, as they say, the only way to defeat ignorance is to educate, right?
Correct. I believe that 100%.
All right, so let's start with how did you react when you heard about the George Floyd news?
For me, it wasn't necessarily the first time that something like that has happened. I mean, you look at history and it's been happening for hundreds of years. So I think over the course of time, people have been trying to bring awareness to the situation and trying to find ways that it can change. And you've had numbers of celebrities come out and stand against it over time. Guys from like Muhammad Ali, Jesse Owens, up until the present moment, or even as of lately, you look at guys like Ti and you can even see like Ice Cube during his time, and even Michael Jackson for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
They have all spoken about this same topic that we are going to address today. But as far as how it played out on me when I first saw it, of course, it was hard to take in. I definitely had some tears come to my eyes whenever I seen it. Nobody likes seeing anybody get executed like that in the streets. So, I just had to take it for what it is, and it happened. You can't get it back, but now it's all about how we can prevent it from happening again. So I think that's where the conversations are now, and I think that's where the conversation should be. So that way we can actually find solutions rather than just keep going in the same circle over and over.
JDV, Bobby Parks, and other players of African American descent. You guys started a campaign on social media that could have been me. Can you tell us about that a bit?
Yeah, so we just wanted to again spread awareness that this is a real thing. This is a real situation that actually happens, and the point that we wanted to get across is that yes, it could have been any of us at any given moment in time. I think whenever people see that, it can kind of hit them a little bit differently. That your favorite PBA player can potentially get his life taken over, something like this, over the color of their skin. And we're not just talking about just Phil Amps here. We're talking about any person of color. So, you can have somebody that was born and raised in the Philippines, and just because they got dark skin, and then the
Mm.
moment they head over to the United States, or a country that is, um, going through a lot of racial injustice, they can also fall victim to it as well. So, it's not just being an American, but it's any person of color. I'm sure you've seen discrimination against all different types of races, and especially in the United States. So,
Mm.
again, it's just raising awareness. And, we just started out with a conversation with us that are of African American descent. Of course, that's the origin of where this is all happening and where this all stemmed from when you go back on U.S. history. So, yeah, we just wanted to get that message across that it really could have been us. It could have been our parents. It could have been one of our brothers or our sisters. And whenever I look back over the course of history, it easily could have been my granddad or my great grandfather. And if one of them would have been victim to this, then I would not be here today. So
Yeah.
that's definitely how it ties into me, and a lot of the other Filipino Americans that have African descent.
That's powerful, man. How are people responding to the campaign on social media?
I mean, of course, you're going to always have some people that aren't necessarily for you, but again, this message isn't for them in that
Mm.
case. Like if you want to tear us down for trying to bring awareness to a certain cause, I mean, you can almost compare it to a lot of other causes like gay rights, or a lot of other things that people like to fight for, even like freedom of speech and stuff like that. So again, it's just awareness, and we're not trying to force it on anybody to have to believe it, but we just want people to be aware of it and take it within themselves and use it for themselves to make the right judgment, and just to let them know that the effects of what is going on is the difference between life or death for a lot of people, and a lot of people are living in fear every time they step out the house, just because of what's going on right now. So again, it was just awareness. But I think we have a really good group of guys here that was able to open up a conversation. Of course, Gabe, he was one of the spearheaders that kind of leaded us and was like, "Hey, is everybody okay?" And then we just started pulling people into the group conversation, and it was more. It started out as a support group first. It's just like, "Hey, is everyone all right mentally? Is everybody's families in the states okay?"
Mm-hmm.
Because there's certain areas that are really, really crazy right now with
Mm-hmm.
rioting and looting going on. So we just wanted to make sure everyone's families were safe. And then from there, we decided what action can be done and how can we raise awareness to this cause and make people aware of it that this is actually something that is reforming the world. Whenever you look at it, there's
Yeah.
people all over the world, different countries that are behind this cause because they see it. And I think not only do they see it, but they can relate in some instances, regardless of what country you're in. So I guess it's just in short, I think this fight is not just um, in the United States, but it's kind of a global cry for injustice everywhere.
We don't have to go too far. Racism is prevalent here in the Philippines. Let's not hide that fact. People in the stands in PBA games shout some bad things while you guys are playing. How do you deal with that?
Well, I mean, first off, we understand that we have to take the high road as athletes, and I think that has been the tough position of athletes, ever since the African Americans started participating in athletics. At first it was hard because African Americans weren't allowed in any kind of athletics, and they had to have separate leagues all in its own. And then finally, it started to get they started to allow African American athletes, but yet there was still social injustice. I mean, there's a lot of movies out there that can kind of wake you up to this. There's basketball movies,
Mm-hmm.
American football movies, even
Remember the
baseball movies.
Titans? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to remember the Titans. You even got 42. That's Jackie
Yeah.
Robinson. So,
42. Mm-hmm.
that's very relatable in our sense that people are going to try to tear you down and they're going to try to uh, get you to be thrown off just by pulling that discrimination card out. And so, of course, we have to take the high road, and it's not like we can really go charging into the stands and go do something because then,
Mm.
that makes us look bad
You're
as
the
well.
bad
So,
guy. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, um, with those, we just got to understand that that really reflects more about the person that is saying and handing out the discrimination more than it reflects us as people. So I think we all understand that, and we are also hoping that people do recognize that within themselves. That them by them saying that, that's showing a lot about their character and their
Yeah.
morals, and basically how they were raised and their thought process and stuff like that. So I think that's the whole purpose and the whole premise behind this whole movement. Actually, is just to get people to recognize those patterns of what you say that can come off racist to other people of color. And hopefully, the message gets across, and hopefully that change can be done. But of course, we can't ignore the fact that it is there, and we can't just keep sweeping it under the rug, or else it's just going to keep coming back again. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so nowadays of course there's a Black Lives Matter hashtag. But people are throwing it back with a seemingly innocent hashtag. They say all lives matter. Can you talk to us about how that hurts more than it helps?
Yeah, like the hashtag Black Lives Matter isn't saying that Black lives are better than anybody else's. It's just that Black lives have been suppressed for so long that it's almost as if we don't exist, or that the value of a Black life doesn't equate to the value of a lot of other lives. And we're not trying to say that our value is more. We just want to say that our value is equal, if anything. We understand that all lives do matter. Yes, everybody understands that. But saying that is also suppressing Black lives again, when that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that saying all lives matter is, again, taking your hand and covering the Black people's mouth, or the people of color. You're covering their mouth and you're suppressing their cry for help. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. Yes, all lives matter, and there's no question about that. But what we want people to recognize is that there is an injustice in this world that dehumanizes and degrades the people of color. And so that's why it's very important just to recognize it. Just recognize that, Black lives do matter, because when Black lives matter, then that really truly lives up to the statement that they're saying that all lives matter.
Mm.
But you
Mm.
cannot say all lives matter whenever
Without
you
saying,
cannot address the fact that Black lives matter. So that's the difference between those. And I think a lot of people are just misinformed on what they actually mean, because of course you see it, and you see all lives matter, and you kind of gravitate towards that
mm-hmm.
if you're a decent human being, and you really respect all cultures and all ethnicities. You can really fall into that and say, yes, all lives do matter. It doesn't matter what color or whatever. Um, but again, we're just really trying to to pinpoint one specific group that has been suppressed, and that's it. That's the whole message behind that. So if you are those people that believe all lives matter, just understand we do believe that as well. Like, we completely understand that all lives matter, but the situation here is specifically targeting people of color and Black lives. So just being able to say Black lives matter shows people of color in the Black community that you actually understand what is going on and what has been happening over the course of a couple hundred years, and that you are willing to be a part of the change, and that you're willing to stand up for it. And so I think that's very important for people to be able to take that. And sometimes you're going to have to go against what you've been taught, because it's just kind of like reconditioning, right? We've been
Mm-hmm.
conditioned to think a certain way. So a lot of times confronting yourself and challenging a lot of the beliefs that you have been instilled with, and the way that society has been run, it can be challenging for people to kind of understand that. It can be, it can really shake some things up in your household whenever you realize what exactly is going on and the truth that is out there.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's crazy that they're using such an innocent statement. It comes off as innocent, but then you realize that there's a deeper meaning behind it, and it does put a mouth over people that want to have their voices heard. If our viewers can take away just one thing from this interview, let's say they fast forward to this bit, what would you want them to know? What would you want them to take away from this video?
I would have to say, just recognize that it is a real thing. Take it in within yourself, and I posted something on my Facebook a while back that said, we don't have all the answers to all the problems that are going on in this world, but what we can control and what we can change is ourselves. You got to take the time to look inwards and see what you are doing and what you can do to kind of help solve this cause and help prevent this from happening. Because if you don't take that time and you keep on doing the things that you're doing, maybe you're not intentionally being racist, but maybe some of the things that society has conditioned you to think is kind of programmed against and discriminates against people of color, and you're just not aware of it because that's how it's been. So just take the time, educate yourself. I think it's very important to educate yourself and just obtain the knowledge of what's going on and how lives are being affected by this over the course of hundreds of years. This is no new thing at all. Um, Another thing that I would have to say would be to, I guess it would just be there's an argument out there, not an argument, a statement that said that we should not, it's not that we don't see color, but we should see color, and we should recognize color, and we should respect color, and we should honor color. Those are completely different things. Like, me not being able to see you is more or less saying that, like, yeah, I don't see color, I don't see race, and then it's just kind of like, well, yeah, that's one thing. But whenever you actually take the time to actually say, okay, hey, I see you're of African American descent. I see that your ancestors have been suppressed, and I see why there's a outcry for this now, or even then, you can take it for any ethnicity for that matter. It's like whenever someone comes up to me and says, I see that you're Filipino. I see that you have Filipino traits, and I respect that, and I honor that so much that you came from that origin, and that your culture is so enriched with great qualities and things like that. That's a different conversation than just saying, oh, I don't really see color, and then you just leave it at that, and
Mm.
other things can come up. I think the moment that we recognize it, and we actually respect and honor people for their color, for their ethnicity, for their differences, I feel like that's whenever we can start moving towards a better direction as society or as a world in general. Because whether you like it or not, everybody in this world is different. Every country is different, and they all have good, great qualities and things that they can provide to this world. So imagine how much greater the human race can be if we build as a collective, and we understand as a collective, and we respect as a collective, and we honor each other as a collective. I think we will be much better off rather than suppressing one another. So at the end, we're only hurting ourselves if we keep this type of action, keep this mindset. So again, just educate yourself and see what you can do as an individual to help the cause.
How can people educate themselves? Is there any place that you can, like a website or a hashtag that they can follow? Maybe a campaign that you guys are supporting?
We haven't really kicked off a campaign or like a website or anything like that. We just wanted to raise awareness, but I continue to encourage people to use YouTube. Like we were saying, there's a lot of movies out there, and I think that is one way that could help a lot of people. Um, like especially for Filipinos, we're big basketball fans, right?
Mm.
So we have to understand that this thing is very, very involved in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I think one movie that really sticks out in my mind about racial discrimination would have to be the movie Glory Road. I don't know if you've
Mm-hmm.
ever seen that.
Yeah, yeah.
You've seen that?
Yep, yep.
So I definitely recommend that movie to any basketball lover who also wants to try to get a deeper understanding of racial discrimination. That movie showed a lot of what actually happened, and the struggle that African American players had to go through just to get on the same court as white players,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
to even get a scholarship to go to college to play Division 1. It was hard to do at that time, and now it seems like there's more African Americans in college
Yep.
sports than there are white Americans, but that doesn't necessarily reflect anything. That just shows that how much we have progressed from
Mm-hmm.
that time, that it was the complete opposite. And I think the NBA does a really good job of handling these situations and opening the discussion about these situations, because the NBA is so multiracial, and there's so
So
many
diverse, yeah.
players that are, yeah, it's so diverse, and people are recognized for their skill, not their
Mm-hmm.
ethnicity. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I mean, they recognize their ethnicity. Like you look at
Of
somebody
course,
like
yeah.
Giannis, his
Mm-hmm.
nickname is literally the Greek Freak.
Great
So
free.
it's like
Yeah, yeah.
his ethnicity is there. We recognize it, and
Mm-hmm.
we honor it, and we respect it because of his level of play.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to hold it against him
Mm-hmm.
because of the color of his skin. So again, you can also follow the NBA because they're 100% behind this campaign, and they come out with great statements as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen what Pop put out,
Absolutely, yeah.
but yeah,
He
they're
went after
handling a lot.
he went after
Yeah,
Trump, man. Yeah, yeah.
he did it. But yeah, there's a lot of different places that you can get some information to educate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'd much rather you take the time to educate yourself, and then try to form your own opinion rather than forming your own opinion first and then
Mm-hmm.
trying to educate yourself. So yeah, those are just a few that I can recommend.
I love that perspective, Chris, because everyone says, I don't see color, I don't see color, but I love that you're saying that you have to, that's it, it's part of it, that's all about acceptance and everything. So, Chris, thank you, man. We appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time, and thank you for helping us educate our viewers. If there's any way we can help, anything that if you guys are gonna start a campaign, if you guys need anything, just let us know, man.
Definitely will do. If there's any other guys that you would like to communicate with, I'm sure they'll be open to talking about it as well. So
yeah, that'd be awesome.
keep helping us share that awareness and spread that awareness. We appreciate you, and that shows a lot about the character and the morals that you have as well. And so we respect you for that as well. So yeah, all love.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you, man. Thank you.